Ambassador Trombetta, the whole of your country is now quarantined. Can you just describe for us the situation that Italy now finds itself in?
Well, it's a difficult time for my country and for the Italian people. We are asking a lot of them at the moment. The decision that was made yesterday by the Italian government, of course, was not an easy one, but it was necessary. It was necessary because people need to know that they all have to contribute, they all have to do their part in this. This is a battle that we can win only if we all act together.
Is it even possible to quarantine effectively an entire country? The Prime Minister says people should stay at home. Will they obey that?
Well, quarantine probably is not exactly the way to describe it. I think people are asked to stay home and to limit their movements to only what is really essential, and there's also to some specific circumstances. That's the only way at this moment that you can have in order to contain the contagion.
But will people actually obey that?
I think they will. Of course, you can't be sure that 100% of the people will do that. But I think that people are now aware, as I say, of what is necessary and what they have to do.
Isn't it now inevitable that the vast majority of people in the country will get this?
No, I wouldn't say the vast majority of people get the disease. We will see the number in the next few days and few weeks. After all, if we follow the pattern in China, because there is a peak, and then the numbers will decrease. But what is important, as I said before, is that the government does its part, and I think the Italian government has acted swiftly and in full transparency, and the people, they follow the advice given by the government.
There's been a lot of criticism of the way the Italian government acted, that it could have acted sooner and with more clarity. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't think, first of all, that the government acted too late. I mean, we declared a state of emergency already at the end of January, when there was still no case in Italy. I mean, we stopped flights to and from certain areas of China. Then, as soon as there were the first cases in two specific locations in Italy, then we created this sort of cluster, the isolated cluster. Then that area was widened, and then the decision that was made yesterday. So to say that the Italian government did not react swiftly, I don't think is right. And the other decision, as I was saying before, the other way that the Italian government approached this issue was through full transparency, which is actually a guarantee not only for the Italian people, Italian citizens, that they are always fully informed, but also for our international partners, that we are doing our part. Because this is a battle, it's a challenge that we cannot win alone. I mean, this will require international cooperation more and more.
There are some within the government here who are briefing that Italy is not following the science, and that there's a problem here of a fragile coalition government, a fragmented country. How concerned are you that Italy becomes a sort of poster child for how not to handle a medical emergency?
I don't know how people can say that. If you think that the first strain of the virus was isolated in Italy by the Istituto Spallanzani, and then another institute in the SAC hospital in Milan isolated the sort of the Italian version of the virus. So actually, we are very much advanced from this point of view.
What's your response then to criticisms within this country and within your own country?
My response is that we only need to work together and to cooperate. So if there are, of course, coming from this country, as from any other country of the world, some proposals, some ideas, or some, of course, better ways, let's say, of isolating viruses, or proposing some sort of way to face the challenge. Of course, we are open to cooperation, but that's, I think, the only or the best way to be up to this challenge.
The figures are astonishing and upsetting. Many hundreds of Italians have died. Terrible scenes from the hospitals, riots in the jails. What are your feelings for your fellow countrymen?
Well, of course, I feel, for my country and for the Italians, what we are trying to do here at the embassy is to also, do our part. Our part means to be close to the Italian people living in the UK, or from those Italians who are planning or were planning to come to the UK. So I think that's the best way to show that we are close to young people, to do our duty at our best.
What message are you getting from Italians living here who are concerned about their friends and family out in your country?
Well, I have to say, there's first of all a lot of interest from the Italians wanting to come to the UK. So of course they want to know if they can come, if there are problems, or what kind of problems. As for the Italians living in the UK, it's a large number, it's a large community. I mean, we estimate about 700,000 Italians. What we tell them is to follow the advice by the British authorities. I mean, we cooperate with the British authorities.
And is that advice clear?
I think it is, and when it's not clear, we explain to them. But there is one thing that I also would like to say. There have been some, we have been informed at least, that there have been some sort of episode of what I would describe as discrimination against Italians. And of course we do not accept that. I mean, we understand and we share, with the British government, British authorities, all the decisions that have been made, and they've been very clear, and also they've been following what first was decided by the Italian government and then somehow applied to this country for those coming to the UK.
What do you mean by discrimination?
Discrimination that, for instance, in some cases, schools were closed only because they were Italians. I mean, those measures applies to people traveling from Italy, no matter what nationalities they are from. But if you are Italians and you have lived here for many, many years and you have not been in Italy for many months or years, of course you are no different from any other or British or national living in the UK. So that is a discrimination, that only because you are Italians you are seen as a risk, as a danger.
How hurtful was that?
Well, it does hurt, I have to say, and that's where we are particularly close to our citizens.
The Italian Prime Minister paraphrased Winston Churchill saying that your country faces its darkest hour. Your wife is herself British. Do you fear that the UK is about to face its darkest hour?
I hope not, obviously. Hope not. I do hope that the problem here can be tackled in a way that would not create much discomfort or damage to the British people. Numbers, of course, are starting to increase here as well. I think that, and I do hope that what has happened in China, in Italy, the way that we have acted and reacted can also help the British authorities and the British people.
So does that mean following the kind of fairly draconian measures that Italy has implemented sooner perhaps than...
Oh, it's not for me to give any kind of suggestion, any kind of advice to the British authorities. Of course, each country and each government has to take the way that they think is best for their own people and for their own country. What I'm expressing is just hope that, as I say, the situation here will not escalate.
You hope that it won't, but you fear that it might?
I do hope that it will not.
But your fears?
Really, I mean, it's not. I'm not a scientist, so I do prefer not to comment on things that I don't really master.
When you look at what's being done in other European countries, so for example, Czech Republic has only 40 cases. We have nearly 400 now. Yet in Czech, they're closing schools and banning events already. Would you feel more comfortable knowing what your country has been through if the government was acting now to close schools or ban sporting events?
As I said, I mean, it's for the government to decide what is best for the British people. Also, people can react in a different way under different circumstances in different countries. So what is best for the British people, of course, is for the UK government to decide. What we can do is basically to follow and to also recommend the Italian citizens to follow the advice of the British authorities.
It's been suggested here by some that the government is prioritising the health of the economy over the health of its citizens. What do you say to that?
I think that it's important, of course, to take care of the health of the citizens. Try, not to jeopardize the health of the economy. This is what also we are trying to do in Italy. For instance, in our case, the industrial system is functioning, continues to follow as usual. We are talking to the European Commission to see what kind of flexibility they are prepared to give us. And I know that there are very good signs coming from the European Commission from this point, to flexibility, of course, to the budget. So, of course, taking care of your citizen does not mean that you neglect the economy.
What are your
But I don't think it's a trade-off. I don't think that either you do one or you do the other thing. The important thing is that the country as a whole is been taken care of by the government.
What are your fears for the Italian economy and the European economy after this?
Well, of course, it's a difficult time for the Italian economy and for the European economy, including, I should say, the UK ones. Let's see how long this crisis lasts. I think that at least I'm talking about the Italian government, what we are trying to do is the right way, the right approach, trying to support, people, but support also the economy. And there we do need also the understanding and the support of the European Commission.
What do you say to people who say that given that seasonal flu kills hundreds of people every year, that what the Italian government is doing is an overreaction and that other countries following what you're doing are also overreacting?
It seems to me that people use the word overreaction for transparency. I think what the Italian government is trying to do, as done so far, is to be clear, transparent. I think it's very important, especially in a moment of crisis, that you give the full information, the correct one to the people, so that they, even when they have to, they have to make difficult decisions for their life. They have to change their habits, they have to change their behavior. They know why they are doing that. So I don't think that the Italian government has overreacted. I think what we have done, and my minister Di Maio has said that on many occasions, how important it is to be transparent and to treat people as mature people, not someone you need to hide bad news.